All right, Roland, take it away. We haven't done this in a while.
Yes, yes. I don't even know what I'm saying. My name is Roland. We have Alan, Mark, and Ryan here for Saberlight Nights. We're doing a fight night from the recent Arnold Classic
The
Kumite.
Kumite.
Kumite. Um, and so we just went out to Columbus, Ohio, and had a blast hitting each other with glow sticks. So happy to see this. There's some really fun fights and a lot of good times were had by all. So,
Yeah,
Uh,
really good.
no, I was just gonna say I haven't seen any of these yet, so should
ah,
be fun for me because I'm
yeah,
not five
exactly.
feet in front of it anymore.
Right.
Yeah, I thought y'all did an excellent job. We really enjoyed ourselves there, and I have to say, still feel bad for Em. She was trapped in
Oh God.
a
Yes.
Tahoe with us for a 6 hour
With
trip with
Clay,
Clayton.
Clay, Chico, myself, and Ryan, and poor little M, just like, what am I gonna do?
I hope you guys
Yeah.
didn't need any Taco Bell while on the road.
Well, there was
Uh,
definitely some of that going on after the
quite a
biscuit
bit.
shop,
Yes, Biscuit World. We
Biscuit
visited
World.
Biscuit World, and
Well, it was a
yeah.
pleasure to have you guys come out. You really came out in spades for us, and Ryan, as you know, we didn't have much time to plan this, so it was, and we will have much more time now. We're already starting planning on the next year, so that's great.
Cool.
But
Good.
you
Good.
guys
Good. Good.
really came out in spades for us. We really appreciate everything, and Roland, you're a big help with some of the judging that we threw you into last. You had no idea I was going to throw you into some of that stuff. Ryan, you
It's
had a little bit of an
fine.
idea I was going to make you, but Roland had no idea and did a phenomenal job judging the forms and the choreography for us, stuff that had never been done before. So I was like, oh my God, I hope
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
works, you know? So
Yeah.
thank you to both of you guys for all the support that you gave us.
I
No.
actually enjoyed the kata way more than I thought I would.
Oh, it was so
Like,
cool, wasn't it?
it was like
Yeah.
the
It was
Saber
really.
kata was cool, and then Clayton and I were sitting outside and we watched some of the karate guys do it. And then
Mm-hmm.
this one
Mm-hmm.
kid came out to Out Here Grinding by DJ Khaled. The kid comes out and literally he goes from one side of the ring, does three flips in the air and lands it into a split. And I just looked at Clayton, and I was like, I did not record this. What up? It was
Exactly.
awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
more types of
loved it.
events we do like this, the more types of stuff you'll get to see like that, and hopefully some more bleed over like that. And I was
Definitely.
talking to the guys the other night on our show, Alan and Kay, and the people from the Airbnb, and just saying, like the kids, man,
Yeah.
it's really cool to see like where this sport's going to go in a few years with the kids.
Definitely.
Uh, the old guys are great, but we're all getting a little more gray in the beard, you know. And it's nice to see some youth and vigor back in the martial arts scene with the lightsabers. It's really
Oh yeah.
cool.
Definitely is. Definitely is.
Well,
Yeah.
let's kick it off here and see what we got first.
Good. I'm excited. Very excited.
Mm.
Oh, this is my
Oh,
favorite
so fine.
fight. My
Fine.
favorite fight of the whole weekend.
I have
Me
to agree.
getting
I
me
was
getting my ass
excited.
kicked by
Yeah, I was
yeah.
excited to meet and fight Matthew, and I have to say, he did live up to the hype.
He doesn't disappoint. He
Not at
comes in.
all.
He comes in
Yeah.
for the game. You know what I mean? Um,
It
but
was so
Roland, you
good.
guys met in the middle with like the way Matthew described it. It was like almost like a mirror, but like a dark mirror of him. You know what I mean? The Bizarro
I'll
version of him.
I'll play a dark mirror to Matthew Dominguez.
Right?
You boys
Dude.
are doing very similar techniques, but with like a different flavor of the same martial art style. Um,
Um, yeah, he's so good, so talented. It's just evident the way that he moves and all the rest of this.
mhm.
Uh, my thing was very specifically, you can kind of even see some of it here, is he's more cut centric,
Right.
as because of what we do, I tend to be a little bit more point centric
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
just because of the nature of how we fight.
Sure.
When I'm doing what I'm doing normally, I am definitely slashy, slashy,
Uh-huh.
slashy. But this was because this to me is lightsabers, and so therefore I'm finding myself doing my tip going into him more often, which was something that he wasn't necessarily as expecting.
Hmm.
So good. He played so well. He had such great rhythms and timing.
Hmm.
I loved watching him move. It's just as incredible.
Well, he had quite high praise for this fight with you too. He said as soon as he walked into the middle with you, he felt like you guys were on like at the same temperature. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Uh,
good.
we immediately just began to dance and just began to play tag and have fun.
Hmm. Hmm.
And too often in different variations or whatever else, you'll notice uh, they'll bring, they're trying to bring some heat and competition, competition,
Right.
competition. We were playing. We
Oh,
were
yes.
looking to tag each other and get tagged and move a little bit and oop, my head bop and blah blah blah, and just play. And as soon as like, first of all, I think I heard him laughing, which
Yes.
you guys know that's
Yes.
kind of my thing.
It's kind of your
So
trigger.
yeah, so if he's laughing and he's like, "Oh my gosh, what?" and I start laughing too,
Yeah.
that's all that is just, "Oh, so we're gonna have a good time today." Blah blah
Yeah.
blah. And
Yeah.
so we're just going back and forth, trading some fun blows. He's such a good all-around martial artist,
Hmm.
as well as the fact that he does the Filipino style and all the rest. He's so
Hmm.
good with that. So it was really, really a fun time, and I really appreciated what he was bringing when I fought with him.
You guys definitely set the bar for like what what we wanted to see. You know what I mean? Out of the it was totally random bracketing, and
Yeah.
that happened to just be the first fight of the continuous style for the whole weekend. And man, it was
It
like
was
I looked
beautiful.
at Alan and Kay, and I was like, "That's exactly what we needed to start this out." You know. So yeah, one of my favorite fights for sure. We got what do we got next? Vince and Chico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This should be fun. This is from the second day.
I might be from the first day because they
Is
both
it?
use this in mixed. No, it's definitely the first day because you can see all the people.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
You can see Kay is not wearing his judge shirt.
Oh,
He's wearing his
he's
Hakama.
wearing his
Yeah.
sexy Hakama.
Yep.
Got some interesting
Oh,
touches there by
Chase him, chase
Chico.
him.
lost to
Love
Yep,
that
Saber.
from Chico.
yep. Get him.
Love that from Chico.
Vince is a
Yeah,
very
man.
calculating fighter, though.
Yeah.
Like
He
Chico's, we
is.
all know is lightning, but he's picking his shots here.
Hmm. Vince is very aggressive with his like posture of the blade, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. He comes out looking to put you in danger right away, which is the way that I teach people to, at least when they're starting out, to put their guard in a way so that the danger is on the opponent's end, you
Yeah.
know. And he does that very well. You can see that. It's also waiting for Chico to do something,
Yep.
which
Right.
I'm sure is the downfall of a lot of people, is waiting for Chico to do
Don't
something
wait for
because
Chico. Jeez.
he's gonna do it before you can finish waiting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Oh
Oh,
Vince is
man.
also fighting Southpaw here, which is kind of cool.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's true. I didn't actually notice that until you said it. I'm
And
wondering what
Chico
that
just
is.
is comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
He's moving
And
a little more calmly than I'm used to seeing Chico move. A little
yeah.
bit more deliberate.
Well, and Ryan, you can attest, that first day the rounds were long.
Yeah.
So, like these boys, I'm not shocked that Chico might have dialed it back just a little bit. For Chico, that's still like 1,005%.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh my
mean
gosh, look at
those
that.
rounds were long that first day for sure. We were trying something out and worked the first night, but the second night I'm glad we kicked it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially Roland had like 11 fights that second day.
In a row.
That was a bit much.
You
It was a
definitely
bit
had to
much.
earn that first place, but you did. You earned it.
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was
I
that was good
sweated.
work by these boys.
Yes, definitely. Again, Chico just was bringing it, as
Chico's a
always. Phew.
physically bigger person than he seems.
Hmm.
Yes.
Like when he's in there fighting, he's got a big physical presence.
Well, also,
Yeah.
I mean, if you get him out of the fight, he looks even bigger because, like, he always crouches down in that kind of like
Mm.
ready to
Hmm.
launch position. But then you sit him next to Sprague, and you're like, oh, He's
He's
he's still smaller to spray because most people
Yeah.
are, but not much.
Yeah, and he's like stacked with like fibrous, wiry muscle too.
Right.
So
yes, exactly. Yeah. Oh,
okay,
Mm.
this should
and
be
then
fun.
you and Dominguez.
Yeah.
Yes.
This should
Yeah.
be
Clayton had me scared on this. He's like, he's so comfortable in there. You got to get in there and do something. I was like, I'm comfortable.
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. Pike. Okay, yeah. Yeah. See, just taggy.
He had a smart idea against the pike to keep the slightly longer sabers. He's still using a little bit shorter on one of them,
Yep.
but I think a lot of us fall into a trap with Jarkai of just going maybe too short sometimes on that second say. I'm guilty of that for sure. So I think it was smart of him to keep him a little longer, a little more unwieldy, but he's working well with him. He's used to that. That's
Still
his
doing a good
style.
job playing with the
Yeah, he's very
rules.
good.
I saw him get that hilt twice.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Ryan's trying to keep him at that distance very well. Good
Yeah.
footwork and everything. He's a fast kid. You guys are playing the game right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing, especially with Ryan. He knows you I don't want you coming in on me. Stay away,
Right.
stay away, stay
Right.
away.
Right.
And that's exactly, and Dominguez is like, okay, let me get to this side. Oh, let me get to this side. Yeah. So cutting those angles, making sure, being dangerous to Ryan, which is hard enough to do when Ryan has a pike in his hand.
Right.
And then, but yeah, but Dominguez is really good there. And it's fun to watch.
Not too many people can give me a little shook with a pike in my hand. He definitely did.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's a good point. That's a very good point, actually. Yeah, it does kind of give you a little bit of comfort, especially just the distance between you. You're like, you can't touch me. No matter what you do, you can't touch me. But
And then he does.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Oh my gosh. So good.
You can tell he's sort of like trying to math out the angles a little bit because
Mm-hmm.
it's not you can't just go straight in. That's definitely ritual suicide.
Yeah.
We had Jonathan. Oh, I don't think he's
Mm-hmm.
judging. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's
But you had
Pena and
Becky,
Rebecca.
Kay,
Yeah.
and
Becky judging over there.
myself.
Kay
Yeah.
and you,
Mhm.
Alan, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah. That was good. That was good
That
stuff.
was.
You both had your weapons' strengths and weaknesses kind of dialed in, and just I don't
Knew what we
actually
needed to do.
I don't know who won that. I guess you won that one, Ryan.
I did.
Uh,
The kid probably wasn't by much. I mean, he is just explosive.
a lot of the scores were very tight. There weren't very many rounds or fights where people got like mopped. More the second day,
True.
but we have more people the second day. So,
Mm-hmm.
all right, let's see. Smith versus Pena, Chico and Jonathan.
Nothing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't remember this fight very well. So,
Jonathan was impressive too. He was
Yes.
he's not as what do I say, explosive, original as Matthew. He's more sticks to more classic forms, but he's very
Mhm.
good at what he does.
Yes. He definitely is more of like a European style fighter lately.
Mm.
And Matthew has been joining him. They're both going to be at SoCal Sword Fight.
Okay.
Nice.
But Jonathan's definitely tapped into some of the techniques and style of that a little bit more than Matthew has. And Matthew stays very true to his Filipino style for the most part. But
Mhm.
he's also got a lot of sport fencing experience that I always forget about. And
Nice.
you can kind of see that sometimes, especially with his movement.
Mm-hmm.
Chico and Jonathan are playing the position game a lot here. I
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
realize that. They're like really trying to, and Jonathan's baiting him to try and get that counter strike in. But
Chico
yeah.
sees it too, and that's what's
Uh-huh.
fun. It's just okay. These minor adjustments.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
Yeah,
Jonathan's
sorry.
playing the levels a lot more than Chico is. It looks like Chico is trying to come from the center and the upward, from down to up a little bit more. Neither bad nor good. They're both just trying to go where the other one isn't. Looks like.
Mhm.
Very interesting fight.
Mm, mm, that was good.
Yeah. Chico's just so comfortable these days, huh?
Oh yeah,
Like he was never really uncomfortable. He always kind of liked fighting, but he's just very comfortable now. I guess it's been
Yeah,
what, 4 or 5 years now?
he's
exactly.
calm and calculated. Where before he was the arriba, arriba, arriba.
Yeah, the tornado for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, Nick and M. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
very impressed with everybody in that Sarlacc division. I was thoroughly proud of everybody because the biggest thing with that is they'd never had like a lot of them had never been in like serious full contact tournaments before like that. Like Becky done a lot of karate fighting.
Sure.
Sean had done a lot of like foam fighting. And M is now getting involved. Nick's been getting involved over the last year or so. So I think everybody was on like a good field, but
Mhm.
man, they really like upped their own standards, I think.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I just really like watching M as she progresses through these different sort of she was light speed, and then suddenly she's like taking on all these TSL people,
Hmm.
and then this, and
Hmm.
how she's just presenting, just she's just doing so well, being thrown into completely different waters nearly every single time,
Yep.
and she's just finding her rhythms, finding what she wants to do. She still brings such great style to what she does as she does her
Super
slide.
athletic. Very,
Yes,
very
yes.
athletic.
She
And
just
these
so good.
two were huffing and
Oh
puffing
yeah.
in the middle of these fights.
Yes, they
Um,
were.
they were really fighting their butts off.
Yep.
But like super
And they
controlled.
worked so hard for it.
Yes. Yeah. You could tell like M came in and she really wanted to do something with her time in this tournament. So
Mm-hmm.
that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And she got second in this division.
She did.
So
Yes, yes, she did.
This might be the finals fight or one of the finals fights.
I think it
I
might be
think
the
it is.
final. Yeah.
Yeah. Because look at the way she's just see again,
She's
she
staying in it.
has yeah. Look at her footwork and what she's doing. Nick's got such great sort of advantage both in his length
He's patient and
and
calculating.
right,
Very
yeah.
patient.
But she is just pushing, just still just keeping in it. I love
Well, I like
watching.
that she's using both blades equally. Like a lot of times with dual wielding or jarkai or whatever you want to call it,
Right.
you'll fish a lot with one, you might go with the other, then you go with what, and she's kind of like doing a lot of what Matthew did, which is keep him busy with the one blade, slash with the other, keep him busy again, come in with the other.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how much she's training with two sabers lately, but she should keep training with two sabers because it's working out for her,
Yes, definitely.
especially against Nick and that big old greatsword. Like Roland said, there's nothing but advantages for Nick here, except that she has two weapons. That's
Right.
the only advantage she has right here. So,
One thing she does well is normally when she attacks, she's immediately blocking with the other one. So
mm-hmm.
she keeps a very good balance of offense and
Yep.
defense.
Ooh, yeah, you can
He's
tell
got tired.
they're
She is back
starting.
over
They're very
there.
tired. Yeah,
Yeah.
very tired. For anybody who's not sure, like they did 3 2-minute rounds this first night,
Mm.
and this was not their only fight. So that's a lot
That is a
for
lot.
people who aren't used to doing that much. That's almost as much as like an amateur boxing match would be.
Mhm.
Maybe not
Mm-hmm.
that many rounds, but an amateur boxing match is usually 2 to 3 minutes per round. So that's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Even with the pike, I was sucking wind at the end of that, and
Hmm.
normally that's,
Hmm.
my comfort zone. I can just kind of conserve energy and poke people, but
Right.
yeah, it wore me out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. This is the finals.
The finals.
Yeah.
This was a vicious fight.
It was.
It was. I don't know why Jonathan gave up on the second saber. That that was maybe not his best choice. I think part of it was he wanted to test himself with single saber against the pike, but
Mm.
I don't think. I think he should have kept with the two sabers.
I think it would have served him
Just
better, yeah.
personal opinion.
Yeah.
Plus, with his more structured attacks, he might have done a little bit better defense.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Here you could just kind of pick off where he, which arm is coming in, which will lead, wherever.
Hmm.
So bang.
Still, he's fighting smart. It's just he
Yes, he
Yeah.
doesn't.
is.
It's hard to have that single blade and deal with that. You need some kind of shield.
Yes. Yeah.
Mark there with the Phoenix Saber shirt representing.
Mhm.
Yep. Yep. Makes me look swole too, so it's a little selfish on my part.
Nice. Damn sexy.
If you're gonna be there, you might as well look good, right?
Yeah,
Right.
man.
First
Yeah,
step.
really accentuates my D cups. uh, and Jonathan made that saber I'm holding, so that's
Okay.
sneak peek at the
Nice.
official first SMAF saber. Pretty cool.
Nice.
Mhm.
I didn't know that he made sabers.
He's
Yep.
been sort of like I don't know if he
Oh.
always made them from scratch, but he's been making them from scratch for a while now. He's a
Yep.
machinist, I
Okay.
think,
Very cool.
in his professional world. So
Nice.
Yep.
yeah,
Very cool to see that because they do look very good. I saw the pictures that you guys posted,
yeah.
and really
He's been
nice.
testing them a lot. He said at practice and stuff, and in some of the saber fighting he does at Matthew and whatnot. And
Mhm.
he said he finally got him to a point where he wanted to have at least a few for us for the Arnold, and he sold all three of them. So that's
That's
good.
good.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, he's probably gonna sell me 3 more.
I was gonna say I'll be
Yeah,
buying
yeah.
a few more for him. And yeah, so that's pretty cool. Good fight from you guys. You know, it's always tough when you fought for that many minutes for that at that late at night with big weapons, big boys, and
Because that was
you
almost
guys.
9, right? It was
Oh my
almost 9
gosh,
p.m.
yeah.
when
We were
that
we were
fight was
Yes,
after
sir.
happening.
8 p.m. for sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
You guys all fought your butts off, and I really put you into the fire by making it so long and everything, but it is what it is, and it worked out, and everybody looked really good. So
It's better
proud of
training
it.
that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all part of the training.
Christy
Christy and
and
Akaya.
Akaya.
So
Yeah,
this will be day 2 then, because Akaya wasn't there day 1, correct?
Correct.
yeah.
Hey, Kay.
Hey guys, sorry I'm late.
Sensei.
Okay, Sensei.
Speaking of which,
Hey, yeah, speaking of which,
Yeah, there you
with
go.
the Adidas gi hoodie there, looking
I love
fly.
that. Looking sharp.
yeah,
Look at aggressive Christy. I love that.
Mhm.
yeah,
You know, she's gotten so
fighting.
much better from day one, man.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
Yep.
And she's fighting Southpaw too, huh? Interesting.
She's left. She is
She's
lefty.
lefty.
Has she always been? Oh, okay.
Yep,
I guess I
yep,
never
yep.
picked up on that.
Oh, she pulled the Dread Pirate
Yeah,
Roberts.
there she goes.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She will switch. She will switch,
Mhm.
but she's mainly lefty, and because she fights us, we'll switch on her, and so she'll switch with us. But yeah,
Kaya
especially
has
with
become very patient.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
he's just yeah.
I
He
thought
did
he
not
fought
used
pretty
to be like
well.
that. He fought very well. I mean, he
Obviously,
won.
obviously he
Yeah.
did because he came in first place, but
Yep.
it wasn't a fluke. I thought he stayed
No, totally.
in the zone, fought his way through a bunch of different styles of people. And that second day, we had like, oh my gosh, it was like 20 something people in that division. So, first of all, that's awesome. But second of all, that's a lot of fights, a lot of
Yes, a
people to
lot of
get
fights.
through. And he had to fight a few times,
Yeah.
not as much as Roland, but I don't think Leonidas had to fight as much as Roland.
Yeah. Getting down into it though, they are
Ooh,
definitely they're definitely
ooh.
escalating because of the time limit that we had.
For sure. For sure. We cut it in less than half. We did 45-second rounds for this. And
Yeah.
I like some of Akaya's moves here as Christie commits to certain strikes. He had a couple where he'll dodge counter. He had a couple where he'll bat the blade down and counter upwards. There is a couple of intelligent counters going through here
Yep.
as the Ford F7050.
Right. Comes rolling through and running me over.
Christy did a very good job though, threading that needle, kind of shooting in and then backing
Mhm.
up. So I was very happy to see that out of her. Oops.
Yes, sir.
There were a lot of people much bigger than her in that division, so she
Yes.
really held her own. Okay, here's one of Roland's 90 fights.
Yep. Chico and Roland. Saber Light Night in
This one,
house.
yeah,
Mhm.
that was a sweaty one. This was
Yeah.
God, made me work for it. Chico just is a beast. I love again, we fight all the time, but I really, really enjoyed it. And this was a really good one. Especially for Chico, the way he was moving around and just freaking mm.
And so, Mark, you should probably explain now that we're, two-thirds of the way through the fights,
Yeah.
like the fact that this is not point for point. This is
This is
this,
continuous style, yeah.
yeah.
And we did a clicker system to keep track of kind of like quality touches, if you will. And a lot of that is very subjective, which is on purpose. But we did the 10-9 scoring system, which is standard for boxing and kickboxing, MMA, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But it's very, very much subjective. And if you kind of see the disengages, all that stuff, you guys know basically when somebody's hit, right?
Yep.
But it's up to the judges to decide what they liked,
Hmm.
what they didn't, what they liked more than other things, who's hitting more valuable targets more often. So it's a tough job judging. Um, and I think that with almost no training, which is tough to do in 2 months, let alone when everybody's all over the country.
Right.
But everybody did very well with the judging, and we got results that were like we would talk as referees sometimes after the fights, like kind of like what we thought, and definitely that night afterwards, like who we thought won what and whatever. And generally speaking, the judges and the referees were pretty congruent with what we thought happened in the ring. So that's always nice to see because it
Yeah.
means that the fighters are actually doing their job. You know what I mean? Everything is clear, everything is happening at the right tempo. So it's good. I think it worked out. And it's tough on the fighters and the judges. Very, very tough.
Now, I barked at a lot of people turning around and showing their back to their opponents, right? And that's because the what we're trying to make sure is that like hey, if it does continue, right, and the disengagements aren't there, right, it's a safety issue, back of the head, back of the neck, right. We want to make sure that especially this is a new go, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I know there's a lot of people saying, what the heck is Kate talking about? Why is he barking and we turn around? But that was the real reason
I
why,
didn't even
right?
notice, but you noticed, of course, because you're the one in
Nope.
there, you
I
know.
definitely I definitely did because I was one of the offenders. But as I told you at the time, Kate, there
Yeah.
was a method to the madness because if I get a hit and I turn my back and roll out, it in theory makes it clearer. Now I didn't fully understand the difference between,
Yeah.
getting a first hit like we do or getting that deeper hit that I guess is what you guys are looking for. But
Right.
that
Right.
Chico and I are trained to do that to try to make it as unmissable as possible. But
Sure.
you're
And
So
100% that it does expose things if you don't do
yeah,
it right.
well, and
which is why I
if
didn't
you're
take any points away, right?
and
So
if you're basing it on a cumulative system, that makes a lot of sense too, because you're trying to make sure that each click counts, right? But like each click for this doesn't necessarily count, right?
Right.
So that's it's tough. Everybody's doing their best, and Kay, on your point of view too, like you're just trying to make sure that everybody stays safe, and then we don't get kicked out for next year, right? But it's getting
Yeah.
somebody brained with a polycarbonate lightsaber. But at the same time, I think everybody did what they were supposed to do, and
and then
we
next year, too, I mean, I think you're
yeah,
gonna see, if your back's up against the judge, right, it's better to circle out instead of turning your back at you, especially if you're disengaging, right? Because I think, quality, you never like, quality comes from that. So especially when you're going continuous, right? It's a little bit
yeah,
different than, it's different than, the what's it called? The unity
point
rule set,
based,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and
Oh
it's
yeah,
it's
oh definitely.
touch. It's the first touch. We had some pretty good fighters that like when they did turn right, they kind of stopped, which is really good. But let's as a judge, right, we want to make sure that safety is number one, right? So
Fighters protected.
whenever the back is turned, yeah, in a continuous fighting situation, yeah, not so good. So that's the reason why those warnings were out. And I understand, Ryan, I understand your method of your madness because I'll do some things in point sparring where I'll back up to a judge that's been that's been given points to my opponent, so that way
Right.
he's at the angle, right?
Hmm.
Right.
How can he call the point if he doesn't have the angle, right? So I'll do stuff like that in the match too, especially point sparring.
What you see a lot in karate fighting too is they'll come in, they'll score, they know they scored, they'll put their hand up as they back away, like I got that point, and it's up to the judges still to break the fight. But yeah, there's a few methods, and
Okay.
I don't. When you told me that, I was cool with it.
Yeah.
K wanted less of it, so I'm good with either way.
The worst one is when they're looking at for the score from the judge and point sparring, right? It's like
That is a
oh,
problem.
that's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
worst.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
That's a
that's the
problem.
difference between point sparring and continuous
Right.
fighting. So yeah, it's just it's not a dimmer switch.
Nobody
It
knows
is
who's winning until the
yeah.
end.
That's
Nobody
what I'm saying.
knows.
It has to be a switch, not a dimmer.
Yeah.
So the
So
pressuring is different, right? Pressuring your opponent is different. You're not just going for quick touches. You're looking for bigger strikes. I mean, a lot of the strikes I was giving more weight to. I mean, clean head strikes, clean chest
Hmm.
strikes, those kind of things.
right.
Yeah.
Changing your strategy around. If um,
Parry riposte, that kind of
yeah,
stuff gets
Hmm.
definite clicks from me.
yeah,
Mhm.
technique. I mean, just like in what's it called? Just because in regular boxing, just because you have so many punches land doesn't mean your punch accuracy doesn't mean that you run that round, right? It means you just had
And
so
I think the whole goal of continuous fighting for me, at least with lightsabers, is to bring out people's fight style a little bit more. When you
yes.
stop every point, you might be getting into a groove, but it's kind of hard to let your style breathe. And
Right.
then with continuous fighting, you kind of have no choice. Your style gets a chance to breathe. And
How cool it would be,
that's
man.
what
Like,
I like about it.
yeah, no, sorry, I didn't mean to, but how cool it would
No, no,
be
no,
if
I just that's
you come out, right, and like you're going against, let's say, West Coast, right, and West Coast style fighting and compared to East Coast style fighting, and then there's a clear distinction of how you guys fight,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
It's I mean, I think
Yes.
that'd be awesome, right? It's because that's what we're starting to miss in sport, especially sport karate right now.
Yeah,
Everybody fights the
sure.
same way, right? And that kind of goes away from what you're teaching your students, right? Like how you and Courtney, get your fighters ready, right? So let's say what like Fradel and his group, or Allen and his group, right? You get his group ready in California, right?
Hmm.
So, to bring that style out, right? And then these guys, that are crossing, the lightsaber, LED saber, and in HEMA, right? And then,
Hmm.
so to see the techniques and see those styles come out is kind of to me, is exciting,
Yeah.
right?
And that's the way a lot of us train, isn't it? A lot of us train with continuous style. We train, we touch, we back up, we touch, we back up, we touch, we back up. It's just the way we play a lot of the time. So it made sense to give it a try. And we had point fighting too. The point fighting was a lot of fun. Always with foam, you can just let your
Yeah.
hair down and go for it. But the LED continuous is something that I want to make sure that we keep like honing in on, you know what I mean? In all of it, the forms. Every way that people do it is valid in their systems. And I think that this is just one more tool to add to the kit
Definitely.
that worked out for us.
Another
So,
sandbox, another
mhm,
sandbox.
mhm.
Yep.
Right.
So we got
All right.
Akaya and
The
Vince in the
finals.
very last match of the
Yes.
tournament here.
This
Nice.
These guys worked so hard for this.
They had to go through a
I
pilot game.
mean, Akaya was he was a sweaty beast too.
You guys are all man. You guys all worked hard, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
And somebody brought up last night, like how much the armor. I always forget how much the armor makes a difference because I don't
Yeah.
wear armor very often. I don't get into very many fights. But when I do, I'm always like, oh yeah, that's right. This stuff is sweaty. It's
Right.
Hmm.
hot in here.
Yeah. Yep. And he's wearing his plates and jeans, those fancy shoes too.
They look like wrestling shoes or boxing
Yeah.
shoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny. This is kind of like Chico and I fighting.
Hmm.
They guys know each other so well. There's a
Yeah,
lot more going on here than what we're seeing.
Easily.
yeah.
Easily.
Well, and they were chit chatting in the middle. They were talking to each other the whole time. Uh, this was an interesting hit. This
Yeah.
actually caused a bit of a problem for Vince. after
I
the
did.
fact that we didn't know in the moment. And he had mentioned to me during, like, while I'm talking to him here, he's saying like, I think I'm good. Just give me a minute. And
Hmm.
of course, I'm like, you just tell me if I need to stop.
Right. Yeah.
But he thought he was good, and then he said the next day he had a little bit of some issues. But
Hmm.
I don't think Akaya was particularly like, I don't think it was like a really violent hit. Looked like it was at a bad angle at
A
the
bad
wrong time.
angle. I don't
Yeah.
think he's overzealous. He has really good control, generally
It
speaking.
looked
When I,
like a controlled match overall. Both guys were, I think
yeah.
they knew that they had the potential to get overheated at each other,
Mhm.
so they kind of both came off the fire a little bit, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And
and I think it
it
was
looked
just a
like it just hit
consequence.
wrong. I mean, it
Yeah,
looked like it was right over
Really
his
good.
ear. The sound probably popped his
that's right.
eardrum.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, at least it wasn't like a
those
skewer
fencing
through the head or
helmets,
anything.
as protective as they are, like there's a loud situation sometimes, right? And it
Yep.
does
Yep.
shock you sometimes.
Well, that's
So
like when I was watching Jonathan and I's fight. I can remember in the fight actually getting salty because I would tap him and then he would come back and after blow me on
uh
the head. And I got mad about it, but watching the fight, they don't look like they're that freaking hard. But my ears were ringing.
yeah, yeah,
So
Hmm. Hmm.
and in the moment, especially with continuous, like the fighters are talking to each other sometimes, the refs trying to talk to you, the refs, the
Yeah.
judges are on the side going, "What the hell are they talking about?" And it's just the nature of such a hectic situation, and I think everybody handled it the best we could in the moment, and
I
next
think
time
so.
it's just going to be better.
Easily. Easily.
It's just
And
going to be
I
better.
liked what I saw again. Every everybody that I fought, everybody
Hmm.
that we came. I mean, everybody was bringing their best fight and still making sure that we understood. It's like, look, no, I'm playing. We're playing tag. This is the thing.
Yeah,
We're trying to be safe. I'm trying to protect you, my
yeah,
sparring partner, because I want to protect my sparring partner. And so
correct.
therefore that to me is one of the things. We know that, look, these are things that can happen.
Yes,
I'm gonna get hit. Okay. But I think I have an actual bruise here.
yeah. Oh,
Not that big of a deal,
Becky had tiger stripes on her thighs,
Right. Yeah,
but
yeah,
it is what it is.
yeah. See,
Um,
same with M. She had a bunch of raps too, but it's like mostly I think everybody sort of just kept
I get bruised
everything in
less in those
check. Yeah.
fights than I do
Yeah.
in some of the other leagues.
oh
So I will
yeah,
say that. Like
and
I came
sometimes
home with like no bruises, and I was like,
point
"Oh, isn't
fighting
that a
too.
surprise?"
Nice. Yeah.
I'm actually glad to hear that. Sometimes just in point fighting, like you get
Yeah.
so hectic trying to get that one point that like the tempo and everything just kind of increases beyond
Yeah.
what the referee can kind of control in the moment, and then the moment happens, and you're like, oh man, that freaking hurt.
Got
Like,
away from me. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
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 But I think that happened. Those there was two occasions that I know of that I was like, man. After the fact, I was like, man, maybe I should have called that for power or something. But like two out of all those fights, that's not a
Yeah.
horrible situation. There were probably a few more. I
I
didn't
know
ref every
Matthew
fight, but out of the
Pena
ones I did,
talked about it a little bit.
mhm,
Just some of his headshots were a little bit much for him,
mhm,
but he pulled himself back and he made sure that he took measure of what was going
mhm,
on with him. So that's the other thing too, is checking in with yourself. Can I go
correct.
on and do this or not? No, I need to stop. Okay, I'll step back. And that's the thing that's important
Yeah,
for me. And that's why for me it's like, look, Ryan and I fight quite often. I'm looking to play tag with Ryan and do something that
yeah,
Ryan's not necessarily expecting. If I come off of something and I am punching that just a little too hard, I'm the first one to normally just sort of drop the
right,
saber and all the rest. The same thing with him. I know immediately as soon as he thinks that he hit me too hard, he's dropping the saber. All the energy is dissipating. He's doing what he can do to make sure that he's protecting me
correct.
because we're sparring partners. We're enjoying the back and forth, and we're looking out for each other.
Yeah,
We're not bringing all that heat. This is just, what are we doing to make
yeah.
sure that we're each getting better?
Somebody, I think it
Exactly.
was Matthew, actually had said, um, like I wouldn't have had some of these fights without my opponent being there. So
Yep.
that word partner, like really, like even though you might be opponents, you're still partners.
Oh yeah, yeah.
In a way, you're business partners. Like
Exactly.
you're trying to make a product together, and you want the best product you can get out of each other. And I think that's the way that 90% of the fights or more
Easily.
went. Especially the point fighting, man. I feel like it was good to kind of get all of our jitters out on Saturday with that foam point fighting. Everybody was able to just like bop, 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 bop. And then when it came time for continuous fighting, unfortunately, we ran out of time a little bit, but I think everybody was kind of already warmed up, you know?
That was one thing though that I did have a
Yeah.
suggestion. Do the
Mhm.
saber fighting probably around like noonish because we want the
Yeah,
biggest crowd possible.
I
And like
agree. And I
everybody
would
to triple
start with
out.
forms too. Like start with forms in the morning, get everybody interested because they're so cool looking.
Oh yeah.
And then
Mhm.
go into the point fighting, get people ready. Maybe do your blade work in between so they have a little cool down period and
Yeah.
then go right into the continuous. I agree with you 100% on that.
Because on the was it Friday night on the continuous fighting, man, we had fans out there like
I
cheering for the
know.
different fighters. That was
I
awesome.
know. It was cool. They were taking little side bets on you and Jonathan. It
Oh
was
yeah.
Yes,
great.
yes, they were. I saw that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. See, and that was the thing too, is that we had like Ryan had a bunch of fans and all the rest of this stuff, and there was a bunch of people looking at it. So yeah, it
Yeah.
was really
It's
cool.
very cool. Yeah. So, and you never know that kind of stuff until you're there. But also the martial arts tournament was running over an hour and a half
Oh yeah.
behind. We're running behind. Everybody's running behind.
Oh yeah.
So we did great things, boys. And a large part of that is because of the people that you came with and yourselves. So I really got to thank you for that.
We really
And
appreciate you
Kay and
guys.
I
Alan
would
for
have been I'd have
coming
been
all the way
drowning
out and doing
otherwise.
all that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We really
Absolutely.
appreciate you guys. Thank you for letting us show up. We were honored. It was a blast. We had fun. As much as Em did come away with a couple bruises and things, she was saying that she had a really good time. And so yeah, Christy and everybody, we all had a
Awesome.
real good time. So
Awesome.
we're very, very pleased with
So
how it went. Yeah.
one more suggestion for next year. For at least our hotel room, I need a medal for snore off. Because that was epic. Y'all have no idea. You've never experienced anything like that in your life. I woke up and Clayton's got a pillow over his head. He's like, I hate all three of you.
Because it was
It was
Oh my
Chico
good.
and
God.
I cuddling together and Clayton and Ryan cuddling together. And yeah, so we switched off between Big Spoon and Little Spoon. So yeah.
I just went to the couch at the Airbnb right off the bat. I just said, "You guys argue amongst yourselves about sleeping arrangements. I'll be here on the couch in my own little world."
Exactly.
That's where I end up at home most of the time anyway. Not because my wife hates me, but because I love my wife and I snore too. So
Hmm.
All right.
Exactly.
I'm gonna stop recording here.